It's not starting. Good afternoon. What's up, guys? Or good morning, rather. Welcome to Traders Edge Crypto Live. My name is Lawton Ho. I'm joined by Drew Dosek. We're going to do some crypto trading live, but Drew's about to get into a trade, so we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it right now, guys. I'm entering a short right here, $3.01 on XRP. It just went up and tagged it right there when we hit go live. So let's see if we can't get a little bit higher push, get filled on this, and go short on XRP. I'm doing 1/10 position on this, folks.
Okay, 1/10 position.
Yep, and we're using Blowfin, as you can see here. And here we see price is very, very close to being filled, about 0.08 cents away. And here we're starting to dip under 3 as we speak. I'm going to drag this down to right over 3 at 3.0011. Price is coming right back up there now. You can see it right here on my screen, my order 3.0011. Here we go, getting close, getting close.
Come on.
Yeah, fill us.
You can always get some skin in the game if you want to lower it.
I know. That's what, what I'm going to do. We're going to X this out. I'm going to reduce the amount that I'm going to
put into a 12th, right?
Yeah, so instead it's going to be a 1/20th instead of 1/10th. We're just going to try to get a fill here at 2.995. Okay, all right, I'm in. So I got 500 shares short. So what I'm going to do there is I went ahead and jumped in just a little bit early. I wasn't waiting for my level. What I wanted to do is get some skin in the game, as Lawton kind of alluded to there. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add the remainder 500 shares up about 2 cents higher. So 3.0199. Pardon me, 3.01. Is that 950? All right. So I'm going to have 500 there that I'm going to add. You can see that's placed just right up here. So right now we are short XRP at $2.99.5. All right, let's go.
Let's make some money, guys. Okay.
So let's get into some analysis. Oh, go ahead, Lawton.
Yeah. We didn't even do the intro because you just got into it. For those of you who are wondering where Lawton and Drew with Verified Investing, if you want to ask us questions, you can do so on the Verified Investing homepage, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
On the verifiedinvesting.com homepage, that is the only place that you're able to ask questions for us on this or anything else about crypto specifically. So thanks for joining. Again, my name is Lawton Ho, joined by Drew Dosek. If you're wondering what platform we're using, we are in a partnership with a company called Blowfin. It is the exclusive crypto exchange of Verified Investing. And if you're interested in learning more about Blowfin or signing up using our promo code to get some free goodies, you can visit verifiedinvesting.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on that Blowfin under where it says our sponsors. You can earn some bonus deposit and some potentially more things. I'm not sure. You just have to go to the Blowfin, follow that link, and they'll tell you everything you can get.
Yeah, they get some great rewards, as Lawton's speaking about.
You can win a Cybertruck.
Yeah, they got a Cybertruck on the main page. I've seen that.
Yep. All right. Anyways, why did we get into this trade, Drew? What's going on?
Let's take a look. So we see XRP. XRP on the daily chart is displayed right here. You can see here we've been marching up. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is now the 7th day pushing higher on the charts. And then notice too how much is increased on XRP in those 7 days. We're up now 31%. Incredible move on XRP. Also notice this. We've got an inverse head and shoulders pattern on XRP with the potential major move all the way up at 359. Yet I'm shorting it. Why am I shorting it? It's because we've moved too far, too fast in the near term. And you can see we've gotten a big sell-off candle here on July 11th when we had this big wick created. It did just that. It moved too high, too fast. Now we're testing that pivot high and piercing it and poking through, all the while still remaining extremely overbought on the RSI, as you see down here at the bottom of the screen circled right here. We're at 84.2. Now, that doesn't mean we have to start selling off now. We can go back through the RSI and notice that XRP can stay extended in overbought territory for a longer period of time. But notice, too, the drops that you do see when you have price get extended to this degree. We've had 33% drops in the past, basically on similar sorts of pattern behavior. So I'm not looking for a 30% drop now, but I am looking for resistance at this $3 area. As we're now currently in the money ever so slightly. You see here up just $5 and $5.19. Got half of my entry in that I would like. So we'll see if we can get another push up higher, get filled. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for about 3 cents on this. So a move down to roughly 296.50 or maybe even 297.50. About 2 to 3 cents is what I'm looking at on this, about 1% for this trade with XRP.
Yeah, and if you look on the right-hand side next to the cross, you see that he's using 3 times the leverage there. Bluefin does offer up to 150 times the leverage, but we would say be careful. So yeah, Fashim, Drew's using leverage 3 times leverage. Again, if you guys want to ask questions, you can do so exclusively on the verifiedinvesting.com website. More questions. And let's just talk about it, right, Drew? Because we haven't been live since last week. We have to talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like what an absolute run it's had. Question from Jesse says, how long do you see Bitcoin pulling back? But in general, let's just talk about Bitcoin. Like, yeah, you saw that measured move for that inverse head and shoulders. I had the same exact thing, and I had that same measured move. It just crushed it, though. It did not care.
Yeah. You know, here's the cool thing about it, Lawton. Like, when we have these measured move patterns, I'd say a large majority of them play out on the charts, but then it also indicates where a lot of people like you and I are seeing that this could be a great selling place. And notice what's happening. We had price today get up to 123,231 on Bitcoin. And so that obviously pierced this measured move by a couple $1,000, but price right now is underneath that measured move. So that just shows you the power of these patterns playing out and how many other technical traders are noticing this sort of movement, especially a rapid movement up, right? Like that's what I am isolating here with XRP. And that's the exact same thing that is displayed here on the chart of Bitcoin. Rapid move up, tags that measured move area. Now, which was resistance right here at 118 is going to be minor support for Bitcoin. So I could see Bitcoin pulling back to this 118,700 area. And that, again, that's just going to be minor support as of right now. We'll have to see tonight where this daily candle closes. This daily candle on Monday, the 14th, it closes at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll have to see where that closes. If we do get a close above this candle, which is yesterday's candle, this area of support will be just a little bit stronger. But consider this, is that with Bitcoin marching up basically from 98 to 123 and change, you're going to have more of just a pullback to there. You know, to give you an idea about where general pullbacks could be on a move like this, the first area of support is where we see this pause in price action, 117,329. Well, what's more of a realistic pullback is down here around 113,000, which you notice too corresponds with this inclining trend line right here created from previous pivot highs. So that's a more likely target for just a technical pullback after hitting brand new all-time highs. And then we can reevaluate, see what price and pattern displays to us at that point to see if Bitcoin's going to continue lower or then reattack those all-time highs and start trying to push up higher. But as of right now, we're just overbought in crypto. So this is a great place to start getting in for some shorts and or taking profit in the near term.
Gotcha. So back to our trade on XRP. So let's say you don't get that next fill. Do you have a take profit order in?
I do not. No, I'm looking for about 2 to 3 cents on this, so not looking for a bunch. I think that's easily attainable, though. You can see from previous price fluctuations right here, we're getting variances about 302 down to 294. So we're looking at about 6 to 8 cents in variance. So I think us getting 2 to 3 cents is not out of the question. But currently, right around our entry, so we're basically break even at this moment on this trade. Notice too this bear flag pattern that's starting to form. If we go to XRP on the 1 minute, actually let's flip that to the 5. Notice the move down and then sideways chop. So we've got a clearly defined pivot area right here that needs to be beaten if we're going to be going towards the upside. Then on the downside, we've got this trend line right here. So we're basically tagging it in the past 5-minute candle. We'll see if we get a break, which side we get a break on first. The likelihood points towards a break towards the downside. Another cryptocurrency I want to say I'm pretty impressed with. Look at Tau with Bitensor. Bitensor pushing up, getting over, was it over 430 today? Nice move on Bitensor. One thing I do want to point out, and let me make sure I got the right one. There's so many of these charts that I chart out. Here we go. So you can see here, in essence, Bitensor has broken out now twice. It's broken out of this declining trend line, then it broke out of this declining trend line, and then lastly, it poked above this declining trend line. This one's going to hold more weight. Notice that this came from a previous pivot high. Now, it wasn't an all-time high, but just it was a most recent pivot high on the charts. Extended that out through pivot point here, and notice where price action ran right into, pierced it today, and it started selling off back down lower. So very much like the measured move on the Bitcoin chart, it pierced it, and price is coming down lower. But notice on the daily chart, we're not in an extended situation like we are on XRP on the daily. XRP on the daily, as I highlighted before, we're all the way up here at 84.20. Tau is not up there. So Tau still can go higher. I think it should have at least a little bit more pausing and consolidating if we want to see Tau rip higher and stay higher. But all the while, these are really good stair-step breaks on this chart of Tau and Bitensor. If we do get above this trend line here, that's when game is on with Tau. This trend line currently is at 483, 481, roughly on the chart. It's slightly declining. And if we do get above that and confirm, Tau's got a really good chance of going to 811. So really, this is the area that I'm watching like a hawk on this chart, as this has got a lot of potential upside should it get going just a little bit further and break out here. Nice opportunity there in Tau.
Gotcha.
All right. So now XRP starting to break down underneath this inclining trend line right here. Let me clean this up just a little bit right there. Nice move lower, folks. All right, let's flip back over to our trade. All right, so now we're getting down into the 97. So we're about 2 cents in the money. Let's get the TP out. Let's bring this down here to get a price under 97 cents. So we got the TP down here at $2.96.7. So we'll need a little bit further downside on that and take almost 3 cents on that trade. Yeah,
that's almost that's like 1%.
Yeah. 1% on half of my 1/10th position, basically a 1/20th position. So let's see if we can get a little bit further selling pressures. Not much more to go. Let's go back over to the actual XRP chart. Notice we did get a little bit of a pop bounce right here. So let's see if the selling pressure continues and pushes us down and fills us. So not much further here, folks.
Come on down.
About a half a penny distance. Now about 3/10 of a penny. Now 2/10. Boom. Just got filled, folks.
All right, nice. Let's go.
Yeah, just got filled. Nicely done. Nice, easy trade. Easy 1%. Now, again, I don't have a huge account in here, folks. So, I've got a 10,000, a little over 10,000 bucks. You can see here, I'll take this out. I got 10,164 bucks. So I was going in there with 1/10 position. That was my planned entry. And you saw what I did there. This is a really good teaching lesson too. I often say, and this is really true. We try to stay disciplined in here. Even this morning, I had a couple levels on day trades that I wasn't able to get into because I had levels and those levels just weren't hit, and sometimes that's just the way trading is. Sometimes there's good volatility, extreme volatility, and all the levels are hit and pierced and then some. But then there's situations like today where my level really just wasn't hit on day trading. So I went and approached this trade a little bit differently. I had a level I wanted to get into over $3 at $3.01. Once we hopped on the mic, price was right up there bubbling. And then by the time I had to convey this information to you, price started retreating a little bit. So I didn't want to just miss the trade. I wanted to at least get in some of my position. So I methodically divided my entry into two, right? And so what I did there was I pulled my entry lower, reduced my entry by half, and then I put that remaining half entry just slightly above where I was wanting to initially get in, which would have brought my average right up there to the $3.01 area, which is where I wanted to get in originally. So I was planning to get my initial average, even though I was jumping in slightly earlier. And in this case, it paid off. I was able to get some money, and we did have that continuation sell move. So in this situation too, had I been extremely disciplined and waited, we would have missed that trade. So there's a number of ways to do it where you still can remain methodical. You still can be successful. You just have to reevaluate calculating to make sure that you want to get your entry average. And that's what I did by spreading out those two entries, which would have been one entry, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Lawton?
That makes sense to me. And I mean, that's just a masterclass in how to make 1% in 15 minutes. If you threw in all of your money and went 150x leverage, you could have made $1 billion.
Yeah, on this account, $1,000, right? On $10,000 account, yeah.
With 150x leverage.
Yeah,
I don't know how much you would have made. A lot.
It would have been a lot more than the little bit that I made there. But
we'll take it 1%. I mean, and it's more than anything. This is just to showcase how, like, it's one thing for us to say, look at this line, for you to draw lines on your charts, to talk about how important these trend lines, this technical analysis is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to watch it play out in real time and pay out just that easily, I mean, doesn't get better than that. So great work, Drew.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Next, again, so for those of you just joining in, for the couple hundred people just joining us, our homepage is where you're able to ask us questions. So let's get into some questions. Okay, Martin wants to know, is there a topping tail on Bitcoin daily? And on top of that, SA says, thanks for the amazing service, guys. If Bitcoin closes with a topping tail on the daily today, but at the same time, this topping tail confirms the breakout, which of those signals are more powerful? So let's start, first of all, is this a topping tail?
It's starting to shape up to be one. Yes, it's starting to shape up. If we were to get price to close right here, let me see here. 4,200 from the low. So it's very close. It's very close to being one right now. Yeah.
Okay. So
and that's a great question.
Yeah.
Which one's more important, right? A confirmation signal or a topping tail? Well, with this, I would have to combine all the evidence, right? Be a detective in essence. We've got overbought Bitcoin on the daily. We've got an extended move. We've got a time count situation, the accomplished measured move, topping tail. Even though it confirms, I'd still say the probability shift towards more near-term downside. I'm not trying to say at this moment this is going to be the all-time top in Bitcoin and we're going into a Bitcoin bear market for the next 6 months. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that everything that I'm seeing pointed together, it still shifts probabilities towards a downside to this trend line. Currently are about $113,315, depending upon when it gets there. Slightly inclining. You can draw that trend line on your charts there too. Just taking the pivot highs from December of 24 and the pivot high in January of this year and string that out. You'll notice how that connects here to the pivot in May. So that tells me this area, this trend line, it gets good price reaction. We come up into it, gets rejected, breaks through. the likelihood of any sort of breakout in any sort of trend line like this or other types of breakouts is for price to retrace and hit that trend line. So that's where the odds are telling me in the near term we're going to go.
Gotcha. All right, let's hop into some more questions from our homepage. Jalen says, so I sold SUI at $3.09 back in May. Then I was waiting and called the bottom perfectly, circa $2.5 from the techniques I learned from you guys. Awesome. Then exactly at this day, Trump bombed Iran, so I went out with only 120 USD profit and missed the pump. Did I make a mistake? If yeah, what was it? Now FOMO is killing me, but I learned and I'm not going in now. My second question is about a different ticker, but what do you think about that?
And I was evaluating some charts. I was missing some of the.
I can answer the question actually.
Yeah.
I'll answer the question while you look at some charts here, just
Okay.
because Ben's not on. Yeah, Jalen, it's always kind of difficult, right? You always want to look and think, what if, right? What if I did nail the bottom perfectly, but what if I didn't get scared? And to be fair, Trump bombing Iran is definitely something that makes sense to be a little nervous about, right? You still took a profit, and I know you're looking at the chart thinking, I mean, I should have stayed in. I should have held. I feel the same way about a couple of stocks. Like I had 100 shares of Tesla, like when it was at $200, right? That was in like October or something. But and do I wish I held on to it? Of course I did. And then sold at the top? Of course I did. But if we live our life, especially as traders, on regrets, we're not going to be able to move on to the next trade and continue to take profit. So it was a good trade. You made some profit. Could you have made more? Yes. But you didn't know what was going to happen. So I wouldn't, feel too down on yourself on that. Okay. Next question says, Brandon says one.
If I could add something to that too. I know when I have been trading, and it's a mental battle we go through, right? With, man, I found that level. I've been waiting for that level, and it just missed me by a penny, or I just didn't pull the trigger and get in the trade. Whatever the case is, there's always so many other trades, and it's okay. It's okay to miss trades. I miss trades every single day. And that's something that you just kind of have to, I guess, kind of like a pill. You got to learn how to swallow it, where it's going to be impossible for me to hit every trade. Even trades that I study, I'm still going to miss levels because sometimes the level just doesn't get hit, or I might be focused on something else. And it's okay. But the great thing is there's so many vehicles to use to make the money. And that one trade is not the only trade available on that chart. For example, looking here at SUI, let's just say, all right, so say you're like, man, you're so bummed. I had a chance to get in here, and I've just been waiting for a pullback, and it's just never given it to me. Well, now we have a breakout scenario, right? SUI's now breaking out of this declining trend line. If we get a confirmation move with a confirming breakout on this, say we continue up tomorrow or the following days, well, then now I got another buy spot, and that buy spot's going to be any sort of price retrace into that trend line. So just because you might have missed it here, and I know one thing I struggle with is say if my mind is trying to go towards like, I want to get in at $2.25, $2.25, $2.25, and now price is at $3.80. Mentally, I have to really change the way I approach the trade to say, there's a new pattern available. This pattern is showing more upside, but I'm not going to buy it at the top here. I'm going to wait for a confirming move and then buy it with a pullback. I've done so on, I've done this on several other stocks, but just like Rigetti's or QBTS or stuff like that. Like, you just don't want to buy it when it's exploding out. You want to evaluate it and wait for a proper pullback and then buy it again. And then that's okay, because all these things are vehicles. A lot of people get hung up, especially in crypto. I think last week, wasn't it, Lawton? We had someone that held for, I think it was like a 400% gain. But it didn't sell. And then it started making me think like, what were they looking for? Like if you do love these coins, and I get a lot of people become quote unquote married to the coins, how much of a return are you looking for before you're saying, you know what, I'm ready to pull the trigger and sell this, Or are you just wanting to hold this and hope this becomes $1 million value? I don't know. But ultimately, look at any one of these charts. They go up and they go down. So when price goes to a certain level, it's a great chance to take profits. It's a great chance to go ahead and collect that money, then reevaluate the charts, wait for another entry point, and then now you can average down on your favorite coin. Whereas, say you had a great entry at $2.30 on SUI, you took that profits. Now you're not worried about, I don't want to add at $3.50. I got a $2.30 average, right? Well, if you took your profit, well, then now you can start playing on the way down and then average in on the way down and wait for that next explosion bounce up. So there's so many ways to do it. It's just mentally getting your head in the right space to make that trade and go on to the next opportunity.
Got it. Absolutely. 100%. All right. So some more questions. Okay, Brandon says, wondering if you guys could take a look at the year-to-date chart of Pengu and see if there appears to be more room to run up or if the short-term top is in on Pengu USDT. Let's see here.
Pudgy Penguins, is that it?
Yeah.
Woo.
The names love the names.
Yeah,
There's
right?
something I've traded before too in the service.
Oh, cool.
So I'll let you talk about it and I'll talk about it a little after.
All right, cool. So first up, let me double check. Yep, you got my screen right there. All right. So first off, this is just crazy stuff with technical analysis. So I got a pivot high. First time looking at this chart. Then I got another pivot high here, Friday, May 9th. Just connected those pivots, and that took you to yesterday's high. Isn't that incredible? It is literally like magic where, connecting these two pivots. So another intermediate area to watch for a retrace would be connecting this pivot with that pivot. So you notice what I did there with the trend line. I connected this pivot. It wasn't the high, but I went down low enough to where it captured this high. So that kind of explains where price went today as far as its high pivot, and then got rejected and sold off. So those are the two areas that are causing Pudgy some difficulties in getting higher. But notice, if we consolidate here, those trend lines become further and further away. So that could allow Pudgy to gain momentum to move higher. But the main thing, though, look at this weekly. Look at that. It's just extended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an amazing extended move. Let's see here, just percent wise. And this thing moved up 300%. Yeah, I couldn't be buying it without any sort of proper pullbacks. Probably somewhere in the 618 retrace range, which would put us right around here. Right in that zone. 0.017. And I may miss the trade, but you know what? That's okay. There's still tons of other coins out there. If you want to be aggressive, you could enter right here at either one of these, 0.0236 or 0.020. What are your thoughts on this, Lawton?
Yeah, I'm just pulling up my charts and pulling up my trade. Okay, so let me share my chart here. Okay, and this is Blowfin. This is what I love about Blowfin. You can chart on TradingView, like literally on the Blowfin app. So let's make this bigger. This is all on the Blowfin browser. It's not even trading. I don't even need a TradingView account. So you had this nice downsloping trend line, broke up and out of. Actually, I connected these pivots kind of like you did and found this level of resistance. I have a level of resistance somewhere around here on this pivot high, around 35, and then an additional level. This is the previous all-time high, right? And you see, like, depending on when it would get up there, depending on the move, it could reasonably coincide with this nice trend line hitting these three pivots, favoring a pullback. But for me, my max upside for Pudgy Penguins is up around here, but that is again 27% higher. So it's kind of far away, right? It doesn't seem that far, but you're looking at the highs of yesterday, 14% down from that, right? So significantly down off of those highs. This Pengu.
Bitcoin continues to come in, folks.
Yeah, I was seeing that too. I mean, maybe the topping tail is going to form and hold.
We might even be able to get a trade off Bitcoin if we get a little bit more selling pressure.
Let's see here. You might go long Bitcoin.
I could. Now this would be very quick. These are very kind of like when I was talking about this earlier, that the 118 could be minor support, but these could be more short, very short, quick trades, because when you have an extended move like this, the likelihood for a pullback is higher. But we will get bounces and buy the dippers along the way. And notice price actions coming in almost at a straight line. If we can get price to come a little bit lower, right down to 119, 300 range, I would be interested in going long Bitcoin. And the reason is we would be getting straight into these pivots, and then I would have a backup of this parallel too. So I don't want to see this pause. I want to see price come down just a little bit more. And notice where we pivoted right here in Bitcoin, we didn't even tag these pivots here on the 10-minute chart. So I want to see price come down a little bit more, 119.3, 119.200, right in that range. And then I would be interested to go long on Bitcoin. Oop, BTC. All right, so we're going to use about $1,000. There we go. There we go. That's what you said. All right, so there I am sitting. You can see 119,275. Looking for a long on Bitcoin. Notice the volume upticking here too on selling. Pretty nice. All right, good thing we got some action, folks. I know we've been on here a few different times, and there really hasn't been crypto moving or getting into levels to present opportunities for us. So this is pretty nice. Nice little change.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see some volatility finally.
Yeah.
All right. Some more questions if you're not going to get into that Bitcoin, or you're still looking for trades, are you?
Yeah. I'll still look for trades, but
all
yeah,
right, so look at Bitcoin, and I'll answer some questions, okay?
Okay. And I think I saw one over there about AVAX. I'll be happy to answer that.
All right, go for it.
AVAX, what here, let me see. What was the question?
Well, Steve says, can you look at AVAX?
All right. Simple enough. All right.
Literally just AVAX.
Let's take a look, folks. All right. So this is what I'm seeing here on the chart of AVAX daily. I really like this play. I was telling my business partner, I was like, when price was coming down, I was like, anything from 16 to 18 bucks is a buy. And sure enough, that turned out to be an awesome move, an awesome call there. Notice we've got a daily bottoming tail over here on April 7th. That right now is basically the line in the sand to beat on the way down. Whenever you have a bottoming tail at the bottom of the charts or a topping tail at the top of the charts, that's something you have to always keep in mind, is basically that's the line in the sand to beat. If that gets beaten, then everything on that chart basically gets reset. Okay, so that's where I'm looking now for a bottom. And notice with this declining trend line right here, should we have price get down to it, it would be underneath the bottoming tail, but the close would be most important. So I still likely would even be buying, depending upon how price gets in there with AVAX. So right now, though, with AVAX, we notice we've got a pivot here and a pivot here, and that's where price is having a problem getting above with this declining trend line. Notice even when we got beneath it, price came up, got rejected, and now it's making another attempt to get up to this area, and so far it's getting rejected with price action moving back down. This is a pivotal area for AVAX to beat if it wants to go higher on the charts. So I think it has a possibility of going higher, considering look how much lower we are on this chart than Bitcoin, right? Even if Bitcoin meanders up there in the $118,000, $120,000 range, that could lead to a breakout of some of these other alts. So while AVAX is near overbought in the near term, it still could push higher. It just needs to get above this trend line. Currently right at $22.12, $22 basically. Let me zoom in on it so I give you a better figure. Yeah, 21.97, basically $22. That's what I see on AVAX. But I see AVAX could definitely go higher. Let's flip on the moving averages to get an idea here too. I like doing this occasionally because it helps me mentally see where the price action can likely go. We still don't have the 20 above the 50. The 50 is this blue trend line, and the red is the 200. So I could see a scenario where we consolidate here, maybe poke up a little higher, then tag this 200. At that point, it'll get rejected, and then the 20 will be creeping up underneath it to try to get in this proper spacing and placement. But right now, the 20 still needs to get above the 50. So it's got some work yet to do before it starts getting into a bullish pattern.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Question for you, Drew. I've just joined. I would like to question for Drew. I just joined the Smart Money stocks or Smart Money crypto, and I would like to open a portfolio for the hodler service. What is the best way to do this with the positions that are already open?
Yeah. Hey, well, first of all, I'd say I'd recommend everything I do on the hodler service is through Coinbase. And the reason I specify that too is because there's certain coins that I stake that I find that aren't available to stake, or maybe the APY staking percentage could be different on a different brokerage or exchange. So heads up there, I use Coinbase. And then in addition, I've purchased their Coinbase One, and they've changed this a few different times, how they call it, Coinbase Premier, where you can get in and out of trades without any sort of fee. And that's an annual occurrence. It's about $200 to $300. And I think I got it on one of their sales. So I got it half off, and it was around $150 to where I could make trades on Coinbase in and out fee free, which is awesome. So first of all, I would recommend trying to set up your exchange that way. That way you're going to avoid fees on trades moving forward. With all that being said, I would recommend you doing it much like how I'd made the trade today on XRP. If we have some positions, and some of them are like 20, 30%, 40% in the money, I likely would wait for a little pullback. Bitcoin likely will pull back here soon, and then you can start inching into the position. Whatever you would do, let's say like for my allocation, I have very small portions of my USDC in the plays. So you could inch into these positions as they pull back, and then consider holding capital aside for when I do add to the positions that you can add and then pull your average into where we're at. So there's a number of ways to do it. I wouldn't chase the ones that are 40, 50% high, because I likely am going to start taking profits on those. For instance, like Solana. Solana is one where we've got an average of $108. But I am interested in buying them on playbacks. And this is a prime example of that. So look at this, XRP USD. So, all right, so this, I mentioned this before, this has an inverse head and shoulders pattern. The neckline is this dotted blue line right here. And I just sold XRP as one of our positions that we were holding in the hodler position. And the reason I did so was because I was expecting after this breakout, there has not yet been any sort of pullback. There's not been a pullback to the scene of the crime. There hasn't even been a pullback to this trend line break. So since we are so overbought, I want to go ahead, take our profits here, and then once price comes back down to the breakout area, I'm going to then re-enter it. And then if it goes down further, I'm going to add to it. And then if it goes down further again, I'm going to continue to add to it, because this sort of breakout implies a move up here to 359. Even though I just took profit, I want to get the rest of this move. We need to have a pullback first to make sense on this chart. It's just generally what happens when price gets extended like this, especially when Bitcoin is now into a major move situation where price could end up coming lower. So it's going to be navigating through the trades, and just go in lighter so that you can hold a portion to add once I do start throwing out those posts. But all of those plays, I'm trying to get 50% roughly up to about 200% gains on. So that should help give you an estimate too about how to get in and how far out of the money compared to us for you.
Got it. Great job. Great answer. Great question. Welcome to the service. We're super happy to have you. Thank you for being a part of the community. We have 5 or 6 minutes left. So we're going to do kind of, and Drew, I assume you're going to remove your order, right? Just because you don't have that much time, or you want
Yeah,
to.
shoot. That stinks. Is it only 5 or 6 minutes? Oh,
Yeah, 12, 15,
oh,
45
man.
minutes.
Yeah. All right. Maybe. Yeah. Folks. All right.
I mean, you can give them, you're free to give them instructions on what you're planning on doing, and your take profit ad, et cetera, levels, and they can make a decision. I'm sure the folks at home would love to just to see that, even if they're, you're not going to be able to talk them through the trade.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Let's do this. All right. I'm going to zoom in Bitcoin on the 10-minute chart. The value of this parallel, that's going to be where I think Bitcoin's going to catch traction for a bounce. I was wanting to get some, skin in the game up here and then potentially add down underneath in this parallel range. So let's say that basically appears 119,000. I would consider going long. One thing to consider, even if we form a topping tail, normally what happens during topping tails is you get some sort of retrace. And usually the 50% retrace is what we ideally try to target to get into trades if a topping tail presents itself on the chart, especially at the top of charts. You want to look at some other topping tails that occurred at the top of charts. Look at gold. This is a nice topping tail, and price. It didn't do so the following day, but over here it retraced up here, allowing for the opportunity to short, and then a nice move down on the charts there. So you could see something similar happen where you may get a retrace the following day. It may take several days and then retrace up, but a long should provide some sort of relief bounce right here in this area, especially when it's falling like this. Man, this is a bummer. I'm so close to getting filled.
I mean, if you want to tell them what your plan is, I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
Yeah. I'd say, guys, you know what? Here, let's.
Or you could just, I don't know.
Yeah, with this getting off and see, it's so close to overbought. I really like this level. Yeah, so I would do that. All right, guys. So let's do this. Here's the game plan: 119.275, and then about a 1% move, 0.5%, right about in the middle, right here. So about every $1,000 down, $900 to $1,000 down, you would add, and might as well take this off now. Yeah, so about every $900 to $1,000 down, you would add, and then you would be looking for about $1,000 here. Yeah, right about 1,000 to 1,200 profit. Okay, does that make sense? So 119,300 entry, and then every $900 to $1,000 down, you would add, and you'll be looking for about 1,200 to 1,500 bucks.
All right. Cool. Brandon says, excited to start the sleeper hold course. Thanks for running another sale last week. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Thanks, Brandon.
Awesome. Congratulations, Brandon. You'll never view charts the same if you've not learned time counts before, my friend. So congratulations.
Sleeper hold. Amazing. All right. Last question, and then we'll close it for today. But don't worry, guys. I'm going to be live in 15 minutes for an AMA where you can ask me anything you want about stocks or crypto. So you can just ask me these same questions in 15 minutes, and I'll take a look at them. Okay. So in 15 minutes, Esther, I can answer your questions about stocks. So Christian says, I find this fascinating to see you guys play these very short trades, given that Gareth only has a swing trader program for crypto, but day trading for equities. How would somebody go about learning to day trade, and is it even worth it, or would it be a better to program a trading computer to catch all these micro swings?
You want to go with that first? Or you want me to answer it?
You got it, Drew.
All right. Day trading and swing trading, I think, are different animals. Day trading, well, first, let me preface it like this. Any trade that you get into, the longer you're in the trade, you're exposed to more risk. So swing trading, a lot of people think it's less risky. It could be if you're going long on several plays, especially mega cap plays, as a lot of times, even if we do have a bear market, it may last about a year. Bull markets usually last about 2 to 3 times the duration of a bear. With all that being said, day trading, if you know what you're doing, it actually can be less risky because we're finding levels when we're in and out of them within a day. We certainly do take some losers too if these levels don't work out. But I would highly recommend looking into day trading. It uses the same technical analysis that we use for swing trading. It's just on a smaller time frame. And the great thing about learning technical analysis, it applies through anything that can be traded. Anything that has a chart, you can use to find these levels. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's soft commodities, hard commodities, cryptocurrencies, stocks, mega cap, small cap. There's just each sector and each cap per se sometimes behaves slightly differently. For example, crypto usually can move 30, 40%, where if stocks like Apple moves 30, 40%, that's hitting headlines all across the world. So it's knowing the sectors, knowing the vehicles, how they move, but they all behave and follow technical analysis methodology. So whether it's day trading you like, if you love the swing trading, you're starting to figure it out, I guarantee you're going to love day trading as long as you have the time to do it in the morning.
All right. Awesome question. All right. With that being said, it is 12:15. We're going to close up the room today. Thank you for joining us. We got a nice trade from Drew. Nice 1%er there on XRP. So great job on that. Again, guys, I'm going to be live in 15 minutes for an AMA on the Verified Investing homepage. So have a great day, guys. Take it easy, and we'll see you later.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Have a good one.